Welcome to This Explainer, where we're basically tearing open the case files on humanity's most baffling mysteries. Today, we're taking a true crime investigative approach to ancient marvels. We aren't just rattling off historical trivia here. We're looking at some genuinely unsettling evidence of a collective global amnesia. We're talking about incredibly advanced technologies that, quite frankly, simply shouldn't exist in the eras they were found.
So, let's jump right into Section 1, the fragility of human knowledge.
We need to establish our crime scene first. You know, we love to think humanity is always marching straight forward, right? Constantly improving, constantly innovating. But the evidence we're reviewing today completely shatters that idea. Progress isn't a straight line at all. We are cracking open the archives to look at inventions so complex they essentially break the timeline of human development. We're talking about artifacts from thousands of years ago that make modern scientists, people equipped with supercomputers and billion-dollar labs, literally stop in their tracks and just go, wait, how the hell did they do that?
Let's pull out our first major folder. Section 2, the analog computer case file.
Okay, let's open Exhibit A. I want you to imagine it's the year 1901. A group of Greek sponge divers are exploring a 65 BC shipwreck off the coast of an island called Antikythera. Down in the murky depths, they haul up this heavily corroded lump of bronze. Fast forward, and when forensic scientists eventually crack this thing open, they discover what is, for all intents and purposes, an ancient analog computer. Inside this shoebox-sized artifact are at least 30 interlocking precision-cut bronze gears. And this thing wasn't just a toy. It could model the irregular orbit of the moon, track planets, predict solar and lunar eclipses, and even calculate the dates of the Olympic Games. I mean, it requires insanely advanced mathematics to even conceive of a machine like this, let alone physically build it.
And this brilliantly and honestly kind of terrifyingly illustrates the staggering knowledge gap we're investigating here. Because after this specific device was lost to the sea, humanity wouldn't create anything even remotely this mechanically complex for another 1,400 years. It's literally the equivalent of digging up a functioning laptop inside a Viking tomb. And here's the real kicker. Because it was found on a transport ship, it tells us this knowledge wasn't just some singular isolated miracle. It was an item being casually shipped across the Mediterranean. The knowledge was there, it was tangible, and then, poof. It just vanished.
Which brings us to Section 3, Lost Weapons and Supermaterials.
Shifting our investigation from computational machines over to the battlefield, we're going to look at how formulas for the absolute ultimate military in forging assets just vanished into thin air. Let's look at Exhibit B, Greek Fire. The year is 672 AD, and a massive Arab fleet is bearing down on Constantinople. The outnumbered Byzantines unleash this liquid fire projected from bronze tubes mounted right on their ships. It acts exactly like a medieval flamethrower, but with a horrifying twist. It aggressively burns right on the surface of the water. For nearly 800 years, this ultimate weapon protected the Byzantine Empire. But when Constantinople finally fell in 1453, the closely guarded recipe died entirely with the empire.
So, the big question is, how do you lose the formula to the ultimate weapon? Modern chemists have tried to figure it out. They've theorized it was some mixture of petroleum, quicklime, sulfur, pine resin, saltpeter, you name it. But perfectly replicating its contradictory properties, a liquid that sprays through tubes, instantly ignites on contact with water, violently sticks to surfaces, and basically cannot be extinguished, that remains a completely unsolved cold case. They had one of the most powerful weapons in human history, and somehow it was completely erased from existence.
Now, let's pivot to materials. Take a look at carbon nanotubes. These are cylindrical structures of carbon atoms arranged at the exact molecular level. They are recognized as some of the absolute strongest materials known to modern science. We're talking the bleeding edge of nanotechnology. Yet, in 2006, a microscopic analysis at a German university found these exact, highly advanced structures hiding inside 12th century Damascus steel blades from the Middle East.
Officially, our modern science discovered carbon nanotubes in 1991, but medieval blacksmiths were casually forging them into swords 800 years earlier. These blades were so incredibly sharp they could slice a falling silk scarf in half just using the fabric's own weight. And the specific technique to make them? Totally lost around 1750. Think about that. Today, we can build particle accelerators, we can land rovers on Mars, yet modern, highly trained blacksmiths still cannot deliberately replicate the structural perfection of those ancient swords.
Let's keep this moving to Section 4, Ancient Engineering We Cannot Replicate. Our investigation now turns to construction files that, frankly, make our modern methods look embarrassing. Just look at this sheer discrepancy.
Modern concrete, the stuff we use to build our highways, our bridges, our parking garages, it starts crumbling after about 50 years. We pour billions and billions of dollars into constant maintenance. Meanwhile, the Pantheon in Rome, which was built in 125 AD and features the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the entire world, has stood completely strong for nearly 2,000 years. Even crazier? 2,000-year-old Roman harbors actually get structurally stronger when they're constantly battered by seawater.
For centuries, no one had any clue why. But a 2023 forensic breakthrough at MIT finally cracked part of the mystery. They found these tiny white chunks called limeclasts trapped inside the Roman concrete. When cracks naturally form and water seeps in, these limeclasts dissolve and recrystallize, which automatically fills the cracks. The Romans literally created a built-in, self-healing architecture. It's a neat trick that we are actively trying to reverse engineer right now, but we still can't successfully mass-produce it today.
Now, the mystery deepens even further when we look at the Nazca lines in southern Peru, created around 500 BC. These are sprawling, massive desert sketches. We're talking a 150-foot spider, a 300-foot monkey with a spiraling tail, condors, hummingbirds. There are over 800 perfectly straight lines and 300 geometric figures, preserved flawlessly by the dry desert for 2 millennia. They even found a massive new cat figure recently in 2020.
But here is the real investigative hook of this case. These massive figures are really only visible from the air. If you're standing on the ground, they just look like random, shallow scratches in the dirt. Since the Nazca people completely lacked any known aircraft or hot air balloons, the sheer precision they achieved across 170 square miles of open desert is just mind-boggling. I mean, even if they used a grid system of stakes and ropes to scale up smaller drawings, executing it with such absolute perfection over miles and miles of uneven terrain remains a staggering feat of ancient ingenuity. How do you draw a masterpiece you can't even see?
Which leads us directly into Section 5, the ancient nanotech cold cases.
Because the crucial point here is that these aren't just isolated incidents. The deeper we dig into the archives, the more the case files overflow. Let's do a rapid review. We have the Baghdad battery from 250 BC in Iraq producing 1.1 volts of electricity 1,800 years before the modern battery was invented. We have the 4th century Roman Lycurgus cup, which changes color because of deliberately embedded 50-nanometer gold and silver nanoparticles in Peru, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman, featuring 130-ton stones fitted so incredibly tight without any mortar that you literally can't slide a piece of paper between them. We have the 1400s Vonage manuscript, a 240-page book written in a linguistic cipher that has defeated World War II codebreakers and modern AI alike, and Pumapunku in Bolivia, where incredibly hard diorite and andesite stones were carved into interlocking blocks with machine-like, fractional millimeter precision. The physical evidence of a highly advanced past slipping right through humanity's fingers is just overwhelming.
All right, finally, Section 6. What else have we lost?
This brings us to the final verdict of our investigation, and honestly, it's a rather chilling realization about the permanence of human achievement. We have concrete proof that empires wielding the absolute ultimate secrets to science and engineering can simply lose them. Analog computing vanished for 1,400 years. The chemical formula for Greek fire was erased entirely. The molecular nanotechnology of Damascus steel was forgotten, and the self-healing secrets of Roman concrete still cannot be reliably mass-produced today.
So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. We look back in awe at what the ancients managed to forget. But if they could lose the secrets to self-healing buildings, unquenchable fire, and analog computers, how easily could time erase the technological marvels we take for granted right now? The next time an out-of-place artifact is pulled from a shipwreck, we'd better take a very, very close look. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and remember, keep questioning the history you think you know.